Hey, this is Rikki Roxx, and you are listening to ROCKS100.com.
The Big Rock.
The Big Rock. Keeping the music alive.
Bon Jovi. Lenny Kravitz.
Hey, all you rockers. This is Johnny J, your host for The Big Rock. Catch me right here on Roxx 100 as we are keeping the music alive, rocking the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The Big Rock on Roxx 100.
Rock. The Big Rock. The Big Rock.
Everything that rocks.
Hey kids, would you like to be a rock god the likes of David Lee Roth in his heyday? Then you need to get the
Rikki Roxx Rock God Starter Kit.
Each kit comes complete with black nail polish, eyeliner, sparkly scarf, an actual chick magnet, a velvet jacket to make all the girls go wild, and an over-the-hat skull cap with bandana accessory. Act Now will also include a handy booklet showing you all the best places to wear your sunglasses at night. Regularly a $29.95 value, now yours free when you take advantage of this fabulous offer. But don't act just yet. We'll also throw in a wall poster chart diagramming all the best rock faces to enchant your audience, proven to wet the ladies' panties in mere seconds. For all you newbies, this great kit also includes a CD demonstrating how to push your voice for the radio, taught by Rikki Roxx himself. So quit being a big puss and man up rock style with the
Rikki Roxx Rock God Starter Kit.
Now yours for just $29.95 plus $99.95 shipping and handling. Call now. 1-800-ROCK-GOD. That's 1-800-ROCKGOD. Now. Operators and tattooed hookers are standing by to take your order.
Feel your best before making an arrest. What you gonna pick? Cop pockets when you don't want something salady. Avoid police brutality. What you gonna pick? Cop pockets.
Cop Pockets, filled with juicy jelly, mouth-watering maple and bacon, and creamy custard on a crispy donut.
When you want an easy meal while you're busting that your deal. What you gonna pick? Cop Pockets.
The cop meal in a pocket. What you gonna pick?
Cop Pockets.
Did you wake up this morning with a nasty rash and nothing but regret? Did you go home with a sweaty bass player last night? Did you wake up wanting to chew your own arm off because some skank's laying on it? Are you feeling a burning itching sensation in your crotchal region? Do you feel like you need to scratch your ass with tree bark? Are you walking around like you were banged with a Scud missile? Did you meet someone at the bar you thought would actually call you back? Idiot! Then you need Skankosporin. It'll cool that burning sensation before you do the walk of shame to the cab. That's Skankosporin Itch Paste.
Available at In-N-Out Party Stores, Bottles and Stuff, 8 Mile Liquor, and Cunningham Drugs.
Alright, and I'm ready to roll out of my town in the city lights. Let's get out of control. Hit the street.
following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks. It's Rikki rocks, coming out of the box. Bitches come in flocks, trying to steal his jocks. He needs to be contained with padded rocks. It's the Rikki Rock Show, spreading like the pox. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks, yeah. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks, yeah. Rikki rocks up in your grill, motherfucker.
Okay, here we are. I was trying to get it all in one fall swoop, but I didn't happen.
Got to work on that, Rikki.
I know.
We're only at like episode
118.
18.
There it is, episode number 118 of the Rikki Rock Show, Roxx100.com and YouTube Live, streaming live from Chesterfield, Michigan, where we just had a show opening for Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. Did you see any of the show? The Adler show?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
My ass was gone.
Oh, your ass was gone?
Yeah, man, I had a long day. And I had to be up early. I wasn't staying out till 3 like you fucking hellraisers.
Oh, God. We'll get into all that and more. We have a killer show. Sorry if I seem a little off kilter. Today has been a very, very, very rough day. Depending on how much of this I want to get into, maybe we'll talk about
Perks of parenthood.
I hate being a parent. We'll get into that maybe. So yeah, we're going to have our beer of the week coming up in a little bit. Rockford Brewing Company. We're going to be talking beer. We have our Pump or Dump Band of the Week, Blood of Angels. We're going to be getting to that in a little bit as well. Shout out to Chris Tucker and Steve Engel hanging out in the chat. Make sure you share this on all of your social medias. I think I just pumped it out to probably about 20 some odd-ish groups. Obviously, I don't pay much attention to it, but it's a thing. All right, so now we're going to get into our nuts and bolts and harsh truths. This is a segment of the show.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. Where you guys can send us your questions about anything having to deal with music, really anything. Whatever the hell you want. I don't care at this point. Roxx100radio@gmail.com. This week we have a question from Paul out of Detroit, Michigan. He says, some guys and myself have started a new band, and I had a question about songwriting. Some of the guys in the band are into a lot of off-the-wall stuff, songs that are 9 minutes long and aren't very radio-friendly. My question is that since it's so hard to get into the radio game, should we even attempt to write songs that fit that mold? Or should we just write whatever we come up with and not try to write to the quote-unquote formula? Thanks, Kevin Raslog.
That's a tough one. I mean, is it like one of those situations where what you guys are writing is enjoyable? Because at the end of the day, you got two paths. Either you write something that you enjoy or you do the formula.
Right.
Like, if you don't enjoy how the formula works, depending on what you're doing, I would say, fuck it, don't even bother. Like, not every band makes it to the radio, like, to get big kind of thing. Like, there's bands that are, like, underground. Like, I don't think August Burns Red literally got played on the radio for fucking ages.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It also depends what's your motivation. If your goal is to get on the radio, then obviously doing 9-minute Dream Theater off the wall kind of shit's probably not gonna work. So
right, but let's just say that these guys are rock inspired. They didn't say metal or anything like that, but if they're into that kind of more, if a song's 9 minutes long, I'm thinking it's kind of proggy, I guess, like that. I don't see a lot of punk songs being 9 minutes long, so
some of their albums are only 9 minutes long.
I know. So I'm thinking, maybe they're into, Rush or something like this, or, like you said, Dream Theater and all that. New band, if they're having that conversation about, we need to write more pops, not pop like
mainstream,
get on, FM terrestrial radio.
I don't think radio should even be the goal. Like, realistically, the goal should be let's write music that we enjoy. Because, like, that might be a niche that, like, you might be the forefront band, you know what I mean?
But do you think you're kind of, shooting yourself in the foot if you don't try to at least have that, like one song? Because, like, talk about prog rock,
Right.
The band Yes, okay, very progressive rock thing, and then they literally wrote a pop song, and it got fucking huge, and now these guys are playing like DTs or the amphitheaters around the world, where if they didn't have that song, they'd probably be playing St. Andrews.
Right. Well, the whole songwriting process, it's like you can't just sit down and go, okay, this is going to be the radio song. Like, it's one of those things that you have to write organically, and then maybe halfway through the song, you guys go, hey, this might work out really well to be that radio-friendly fucking single that's only 5 minutes long, not fucking 8 or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I would say don't set out to write that, but keep it in the back of your mind when you're writing.
And I think a lot of these problems, if you're writing songs and you're chopping them down just because they're 9 minutes long, maybe that's not a good idea. But if you're writing a song, it turns out to be 9 minutes long, and you realize there's a lot of fat that can be cut out of that song, stuff that, like, do we really need this organ solo or something like that here? Can we just chop this out? Like Kev said, write stuff you enjoy, but then go over and see if there's anything that, you can chop out that wouldn't kill the song.
Rob brought up a good point that I was actually going to touch on. He said with XM and Spotify, does radio even hold the same strength? Not necessarily, but if we're talking like the machine and making money, it still does. But like, there's bands like fucking Born of Osiris and shit. They don't get played on the fucking like radio. They might on like Sirius XM and that shit, but I think you're like Pandora, Spotify, like that's where a lot more people are going to get noticed. And I don't think you got to have a formula of a hit.
Well, I mean, if you look at the, people bring that up, the satellite thing, the XM and the Sirius and stuff like this. And I think a lot of people make that mistake thinking that, there's a lot of people, like millions of people listening to any one channel at any one time.
I doubt it.
This is the thing. I read something. God, I wish I was saved it because I think it was today. I was coming down from my rage this morning. I stumbled across an article, and they were talking about, how bands are making their way through this digitalized world, and they brought up the radio thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at satellite, XM and Sirius and stuff like this, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but years and years and years and years ago, I got thrown an offer to go on to satellite and shit like that. And then I was asking, okay, well, what do your numbers look like? What's my pay going to be? Stuff like this. And they're like, well, the station that I want to have you guys on at any, our high point is about 30,000 listeners at the high point.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of the night, it could drop down to like 1,000. So it's not really, you're not going to break, if you get your song spun on satellite radio, because that's 25,000 people over the whole course of, wherever the hell satellite radio is, whereas, FM, if you're the number one rock station in Detroit, okay, which is, I believe, the 21st biggest radio market, I believe. It's either 21 or like 9 or something like that. At any one time, at the high point, your afternoon drive, there's 750,000 people that are listening to that station, whether it be in their car or online or whatever.
Right.
Then at the middle of the night, this is why I don't give a lot of people get super stoked to get played on Sunday nights at 11 p.m. At that time, there's maybe only a couple thousand people listening.
Right.
So yeah, getting here on FM, is still the big, you're gonna get out to more people on the FM than you are, satellite or the Rikki Rock show or stuff like that. We're way off topic here, but I guess we're just talking about Rob's question. But, FM is a huge thing, and that's why it's so hard to get on it. It's marginally easier to get on to the satellite thing like that. But that's why it's hard to get on FM, because more people listen to it. So to Paul, if take all this into account, yes, it is insanely difficult to get on FM. It's going to cost a lot of money.
I mean, that's the main thing. Like, even if you have all the hookups, it's going to cost money.
It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to get a spin, and you kind of hope that it gains traction. If it doesn't, you pay thousands of dollars to get your song spun, on Sunday night at 11.
Well, yeah, because, like, literally what you just said, like, Shutter got played on there, and I think Harlow did. Mm-hmm. We spent zero money. It was awesome to say, hey, we got played on the radio. But, like, did we get that many more views and followers out of it? I mean, it helped, but it wasn't like...
It's not changing your lives.
Yeah, it's not life-changing by any means. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I understand where they're coming from, but I still think write what you enjoy playing should be at the top of the priority, not writing a song for radio.
Yeah, if it's your goal to write, catchy rock songs or catchy metal songs or catchy whatever the hell genre you're doing... Yeah, if that's your goal, then you're going to look at 3.5 minute songs and your verse, chorus, maybe throw a solo in there that lasts no longer than about 25 seconds because FM radio would chop the whole fucking thing off.
Right.
And, if that's not your goal, if you just want to write whatever the hell you want to write, that's totally cool. Go ahead and write 9-minute songs. It'll make it a lot easier for you to play shows because now you only got to play 4 songs, So, yeah, if it's your goal, yeah, definitely follow the formula, give it a shot, see what happens. If you guys like that direction, stick with it. If not, go back to your 9-minute grand opuses. So Paul, hopefully that, Steve wrote something like there. It's a generational thing. Songs are shorter these days due to limited attention span of target audiences. Early Genesis works with Peter Gabriel tended to take up half an album side at times. So yeah. They're better with Phil Collins. But, so, Raz, what's been going on, man? You got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But
a lot of cars.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, quite a few people already saw, but I won my first auction on Friday.
Yeah.
And the car got delivered yesterday, which was pretty sweet.
From Tennessee?
Yeah. Next day delivery, man, on a fucking car.
Jesus. From Tennessee.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, obviously the battery was fucking toast and had to jump it, drove it around the cul-de-sac into my driveway. Everything felt pretty good. It had a lot of dirt, and I mean a fucking lot of dirt caked on it. From the research I did, it looks like it had been sitting for probably at least like 2 years. But I ran the codes today. There was nothing engine or transmission related, so it looks so far like I kind of hit a home run.
Damn, look at you. 5 cars. You have 5 cars in the Razlog parking lot. Now there is nowhere to park in your driveway.
Oh, that's not true at all.
Casting. Well, the first person that gets there gets to park in the drive. Well, now it's a parking lot, but everybody else has to park in the fucking cul-de-sac.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Quit being sensational, Rikki.
I am sensational. That's what I tell myself. So what else, man? You played at Diesel, Casting Shadows. What was your takeaway from the show?
I was actually kind of surprised at the amount of people that were there, to be honest. I thought we had a really good crowd. What I did get a kick, was Tim doing our sound?
He was over there.
Okay, so it was really funny. Like, some of the opening bands, like, the fucking subs were, like, clipping really bad. Especially for, like, the kick drum and shit. And, I mean, I'm not a sound guy, so I have no idea why that shit fucking happens.
Yeah.
And I thought some of the drums the mix wasn't very good. Mm-hmm. And this isn't a slight at any of the drummers or their gear by any means. But it was funny when we were doing sound check, he was like, oh yeah, that sounds fucking really good. And I was like, well,
does it?
Yeah, I'm like, why all of a sudden is it sounding really, really good? But I don't know how it sounded from the crowd, so I have no idea.
Right.
But the mix in my fucking wedge was fucking terrible.
All right, so, for people out there that don't understand this part, they see the band, they don't know about sound on stage and how it is completely different from the sound you hear in the audience.
So generally, when I play, I like a little bit of vocal and mainly the rhythm guitar. And there's a reason for that, because lead guitars, not only when they fucking start soloing, some of them have that boost pedal that fucking just cranks it up to like 50.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that's all I can hear in my wedge.
Yeah.
It's just, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I have no idea where I'm at.
Yeah.
So like for me, basically what I want is not a ton of vocals and then basically the rhythm guitar.
So when Kevin says wedge, it's pretty much, you know,
a giant fucking speaker.
It's pretty much a huge speaker, and the guy controlling the sound can, you know, when they sound check guitars, they just kind of make things louder in your particular wedge. Like when I play, I'm like, blast me with everything but lead guitar. Pretty much for the same reason as you, because I played with a lot of questionable lead guitar players, and I just kind of got used to not hearing that. That's why I stand on the other side of the stage. So I don't have to hear their amp. Right. I don't have to hear shit. You know, unfortunately, you know, I heard a lot, or no, I didn't hear any lead guitar, so it was actually good. So never mind.
Yeah,
I was going to complain.
You know, like Jeff starts literally every fucking song.
Yeah.
So some of them, like, the drums come in relatively quickly, and like I almost got caught off guard a few times. And then the worst, and it wasn't any slight against Danny, but like when he does solos and shit, sometimes he'll drop, or even like during the verses, he'll like drop out.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden there would be like silence, and then boom, his shit would fucking kick in. And it was almost like fucking throwing me off a little bit, but I mean, I was fine. It just not ideal situations when you're performing.
Yeah. So, you know, like Kev said, why were you thinking that there wasn't going to be a lot of people, or what was your thought process?
No, I didn't not think there was going to be a lot.
But like that many, like were you just like, oh, it's just the drummer from Guns N' Roses?
I mean that, and I don't know.
He only played drums on the highest selling debut album of all time.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen those like people that were in big bands play the diesel, and sometimes people don't fucking come out. So it wasn't that I wasn't expecting like anybody. I was just, oh wow, there's actually more people here than I would have anticipated. So yeah, no complaints here.
Fair enough. And it was Danny's first show with us since Blue Ridge. You know, we got him. We got Danny. You know, he missed one show. We were thinking, oh, maybe he's just gonna be
you thought he was turning into somebody. But
I thought he was gonna be like our festival guitar player. He's like, well, when you guys play Incarceration, hit me up or something like that. We spoiled him on one show. Gun. Yeah, we spoiled him. First show in front of 15,000 people. We can't expect him to show up to the gondola battle of the bands in Roseville, you know. But he showed up, and yeah.
And then he got kicked out later that night.
He supposedly got kicked out of Diesel. And I'm like, you know, in my head, I'm like, because nobody out there knows Danny, but he's a very kind of like soft-spoken kind of dude.
Dude,
you know,
he's very, like one of the least threatening guys. Like he's just super chill.
You know, you think of your typical like Jeff Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, very like, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, very kind of chill.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, from what I heard, you know, I kind of, you know, like I was telling you before we went on, you know, he's walking around out back, you know, and I'm like, dude, how come you're not hanging out? He's like, I got kicked out, man. And I'm like, just like that. He's like, yeah, I got kicked out, man. I'm like, well, what the fuck did you do? And he's like, I don't know, man. I was just asking if somebody had a lighter, and then I got thrown out. And I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, something's not adding up there, man.
So then I go in and I'm like, you know, trying to ask somebody who was there, because, you know, I'm farting around, you know, dipping between 500 different conversations. I'm not paying attention to what's going on with the guys in my band or anything like that, you know. And I'm like, dude, what happened? You know, my guitar player supposedly said he got kicked out. He's like, oh yeah, man. He was like threatening to fight. He was like raising middle fingers. And I'm like, and then they start yelling at me. You know, like some of the management and stuff, they're fucking yelling at me. I'm like, yo, bro, I didn't do shit, you know? And they're like, yeah, man, he was just, you know, throwing fingers and wanting to throw fists. I'm like, he just told me he wanted to get a fucking lighter. He's like, no, man. When everybody's like, oh yeah, he was pretty raging. And I'm like, you must be thinking of a different guy, you know? And I go talk, you know, it's like Jeff, Danny, and I just kind of like hanging out after the show. He's like, yeah, man, I don't know what the heck happened, you know? And I'm like,
I wonder if it was a case of like mistaken identity.
Yeah, because there probably were a lot of people there with really long blonde hair.
You never know.
And I'm like, dude, what am I doing wrong in life to where I've never been kicked out of Diesel?
You just know the right people, apparently.
Like, I've never been kicked out. And it's like, you know, with casting, you know, since I've been in the band, both lead guitar players have been kicked out of Diesel at least once. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong here? So it was a cool show. You know, they played the GNR stuff and having a good time because GNR is my favorite band and shit like that. Hanging out with Jeff and definitely cool. So we got a couple shows coming up left on the docket. Are we doing that third one?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's a couple. Head on over and check it out.
I mean, I said I was down. I don't know if Danny has read that yet or
I don't know. So Tim was running lights. That's what Rob Sturgow was saying. So Tim was running lights.
I've ran into Tim like fucking 1,100 times in the last month. It's fucking crazy.
You guys are gonna be like BFFs.
Well, he said like I'm doing like every show. Like I saw him at Wage War, then 2 nights later I saw him with August Burns Red. We hung out with him at Blue Ridge, and then like there he is at the Diesel. Fucking every goddamn show, man. It's crazy.
So Rob Sturgow said last time Adler was there, it was that much of a crowd. So Raz is fair to, or wasn't that much of a crowd. Yeah, because they're there to see Casting Shadows. Danny did point that out during the show. He's like, dude, there's like a lot of people here that are like really into Casting Shadows. Because he's like, I seen like 4 guys with t-shirts and like 2 guys with hoodies. Yeah, I mean, we fucking
sold out like all of our merch too.
Yeah, we're a couple sizes down. So
no, and that's what I mean. Like, I've been there when there's been like bigger headliners, but like typically those people will just stay in the theater stage and like they don't make their way over to the lounge. So yeah, that's why I was saying like I was actually impressed. Like we had a fucking good amount of people like during our whole set. Yeah. I mean, I've had those shows too where it's like, oh, you got a big ass crowd for like one song and then they disperse and make their way wherever, you know? So, no, it was good from start to finish. So I was happy.
Super cool. So yeah, that was our last show that we're gonna be playing at Diesel until probably spring, summer. So if you missed it, you missed it, and
sucks to be you, nerds.
Sucks to be you, nerds. So yeah, what do you want to do now? You want to get into our band of the week?
Yeah, sure.
Or is there anything else you want to talk about before we?
I mean, if you want to talk about your trials and tribulations of fatherhood,
so,
I mean,
I guess we can go into this. So, okay. So as you guys know, I have 2 kids. Or may not, because I don't post a lot of family stuff on the Facebook, or really, you know, I don't talk about it all that much. So I have an 8-year-old daughter. Okay. She's super cool, super smart. She gets A's and shit like that. I don't know where the hell she gets that, but she's super smart. Also, I have a 4-month-old son. Pain in the motherfucking ass. So today, Sunday, for those of you who might be listening later on in the week or whatever, the wife had to go to work early. She had to be there at like 7 a.m. So I went to sleep kind of early yesterday, probably 11:30. I went to bed.
Oh, wow.
So, because I'm like, I got to be up at 6 o'clock when she leaves. So I get up, she wakes me up. She's like, if you want to take a shower before I go, take a shower, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, this is not, already in my head, I'm like, this is not going to be good because my son hates me, completely hates me. So I'm like, okay, we'll give it a shot. I'm praying to the Lord above. Please let this be a good day for me and make him not an asshole today. So she's leaving. He's asleep. Okay. Because he'll usually wake up for a couple hours and he'll pass out and then wake up at like 9:30, 10. So I'm like, okay, got a couple hours. He's sleeping. No. Nikki leaves for work 15 minutes later, screaming, just screaming. And I'm like, okay, you know, I've done this before. I had a baby at one point. So I'm like, okay, well, he's waking up probably hungry or he's got a pissy diaper or something like that. So I'm like, all right, let's knock the diaper out first. Full of piss. I'm like, okay, totally cool. He's fine for about 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, now he's hungry. Okay, make the bottle, put the bottle in his mouth. He takes a couple suckles out of it.
Pulls.
He takes a couple pulls, and then he pretty much rock stars this shit all up in my face. Just sprayed. fucking formula
So did you
milk.
shower already?
Yes.
Oh, big mistake.
So
big mistake. Huge.
Well, it's like when I wake up, I like to take a shower, get a nice fresh start. So sprays milk at me. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe he just wants to be held, just waking up or something like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm usually pretty good at this. I'm, warm dude and I have fur, nice cuddle shit. So pick him up. I'm holding him.
Baby's used to the nice moist skin of the mother, not fucking grizzly bear. Smell like booze and shit.
So I'm holding him. He's cool for about a minute. Then screaming, kicking. And at this point, I'm like, fuck, I don't know what else to do because it's a baby. There's 3 things a baby wants: be held, pissy diaper, or hungry. That's pretty much the extent of it. So I'm like, okay, well, he's got all this energy. Maybe he wants to play. So he has his mat with all this crap hanging down that he gnaws on.
Bops and licks and...
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's give this a shot. Maybe he just has some energy to burn off. Throw him on his mat. He usually, like when Nikki's with him. Yeet. So I put him down and, I have the lights kind of down low to kind of relaxing atmosphere. Okay. I don't have the TV on or anything like that. And starts fucking screaming right away. So at this point, I'm like, okay, maybe he's just an asshole in a shitty mood. So I'm like, all right, I'll hold him and just let him cry it out, and hopefully, because with my daughter, like I was telling you before we went on air, usually she'd cry for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then she'd be so fucking exhausted, she'd cry herself to sleep and she'd be good for an hour or two, and then wake up and we'll try this again.
Right.
No. He was just screamed like I killed his dog in front of him and screaming. And I'm like, I'm just starting to get livid. Okay. So I'm like,
Did
okay.
you scream back?
I was gritting my teeth and I started to get tense. So I'm like, okay, whenever this happened with Olivia, because I have that short fuse thing. So Nikki's like, well, if that ever happens, put him in his bed, take a minute, go take a couple pulls off your vape thing or whatever, get your composure, come back, calm, and try it again. Because this is a thing with babies that they kind of sense your vibe. Like if you're stressed and all this shit.
So your baby just hates your vibe all the time.
Yeah, he just hates everything about me. So I come down here, I hear the baby screaming. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be a long day. At this point, it's probably about 8:30 in the morning, 8:30, almost 9 o'clock. So come down here, take a couple pulls. And I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. Let's give this another shot again. Let's start over and check the diaper. Diaper's fine. I'm like, okay, maybe now went through this whole rigmarole again. Still fucking screaming. And like I was telling you before we went on air, it was like he screams until there is no oxygen left in his lungs. So it's just like face beat red, just tears everywhere and no sound coming out. And then it gets to the point where he's pushing so hard, he'll start going like this. I'm like, this baby's going to fucking kill itself.
Maybe he's trying to be a metal vocalist.
That'd be my luck. So at this point,
you, Dad.
At this point, I'm gone. I'm completely livid. I call Nikki up. She's at work and I'm like, yo, dog, this ain't fucking going. This baby completely hates me. I cannot sit here until 4 o'clock, another 6 hours of this shit. So I'm like, fuck this, we need to figure something out. So get into a big old argument. I'm like, if this shit don't get figured out, I'm going to blow my goddamn brains out. I can't do this for another 2 fucking years. So she's like, okay, there's a little bit more into arguing, but I won't get into that part. But she calls me back. She's like, look, just take the kid over your mom's. Your mom will take care of him. Go home, get some rest. We'll figure this shit out tomorrow. And so that's what I did. I took him over my mom's. Right when I get there, he's cool. Nothing. He's drinking milk. He's taking naps. He's playing.
You should get like one of those masks made that looks like Nikki, and then just wear that around him.
God. So it was a huge rigmarole, and that's the big reason I'm kind of like a little off today, because one, I'm fucking exhausted. Having kids scream in your face and kicking you and spitting milk.
And you're practically deaf, so I mean, that must have been a loud screaming.
fucking loud. You know, this kid's a fucking monster.
Projects, huh?
He's a fucking monster. You know,
doing those vocal exercises.
He's going to be a death metal singer, isn't he? And that would be a perfect transition to our Pump It or Dump It Band of the Week. We're listening to some death metal.
All right.
Featuring Mason Roxx, my son on vocals. So yeah, it's a thing. So if anybody out there, you know, has any tips on how to handle babies that hate you, let me know, please. And no, chloroform and Benadryl does not, I can't do that. My wife would kill me. So I asked her, you know, because I talked to her later and I'm like, how old does a kid have to be before you start giving him Benadryl? Like when he's like 2 and sick? I'm like, I gave it to Olivia when she was probably about 6 months old. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, put her out. She's like,
the only thing I
child
remember
abuse.
was when I can't even remember how old I was, but if I was like really fucking sick and like coughing and shit, my mom would get like honey and then like a little bit of fucking rum. And like,
all right, kid, we're going down to the bar.
no, I mean, this was
get you nice and
it
wasted.
was the fucking 90s, so I guess that shit now would be highly frowned upon. But hey, it fucking like coated the throat and knocked me out. So I turned out okay. I got fucking 5 cars in a house, motherfucker.
And how many beers do you drink a day?
Not enough.
There we go. All right, so shout out to Caitlin Mueller from Crafty Conviction, who played the Diesel show. They opened, I believe they opened up the show, and I do have some video of them. It's on my phone, so otherwise I'd play it on here. But awesome set, awesome band. Maybe I should pull up.
Steve Ingle said, I tried that. It worked with my kids. Boom.
See, that's like child abuse now. Like if somebody found out that I'm like, all right, Mason, time for bed.
No, it was not like a fucking shot. It was like a little droplet or two of it and like honey or some shit.
Yeah.
It's not like she poured a fucking shot glass. It was like bottoms up. Little like 5-year-old me is like, okay.
A bottle, just throw a shot and they'd be like, that'll be good enough to knock you out.
But okay, so let me throw this at you. If that's so bad, like what when you're in the hospital, right, and they give you all sorts of shit that have like opiates and stuff, what's the fucking difference?
They're doctors. They know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, you know
supposedly.
What? Moms have been raising babies for fucking all of humankind. So that shit has to have worked over the course of history for people to know about it.
Yeah, but you're like the case in point. You know, you drink not enough beers every day. You got tattoos all over your body. And you're like a drummer. So that's what happens.
You were about to say degenerate.
A degenerate drummer. And I'm sure my mom did it with me. You know, I showed the pictures on here of.
No, you had a full-on fucking beer can, bro.
The 40s.
That's.
And look what happened. See, it's like.
Difference. It was just a little thimble. You had the whole beer.
And we're in the same exact situation right now. The only difference is you went to college and you make a marginally more money and have marginally more cars than me.
And marginally less kids.
You're a blessed man, Kevin Rasloff. So, Caitlin Mueller also says, sounds like there was a couple people trying to start fights.
Oh, Danny.
Dude, it wasn't even Danny.
Oh, really?
Dude, there was... I'm not gonna throw names out, but this was a thing like, so we're loading out after our set and shit like that. So I'm taking my amp out to my car, and right next to my car, there's like a U-Haul van that I'm assuming like a band brought their gear in or something like that. And there's this girl just crying, like bawling. Like, I gotta say something. I'm parked right next to her, so I can't just put my amp.
So wait, was this immediately after we got done playing?
Yeah, it was right when I was taking my amp out, you know, right off the stage and putting it into the car because we weren't the last band, so I couldn't just leave my shit up there.
Right.
You know, so I wheeled it out, and she's in the U-Haul van right next to my car, just bawling, like sitting on the bumper of the U-Haul, just sobbing, like audibly sobbing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like in my head, I'm like, man, why couldn't I just have parked on the other side? You know? So it's like, I got to be like, yo, are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm not okay. I'm like, well, what's the matter? You know, did somebody like curb stomp you or something? I didn't say that, but you know, I'm like, what's wrong? And she's
Ricky's like, did somebody finger bang you?
Where's Jeff? No. That's why he hates me. So I'm like, what's wrong? And so she's like, blah, 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 rattling off a person. I don't want to dox anybody, but I'm like, at that point, I knew who she was talking about. So I'm like, ooh, this is a weird situation. So I'm like, well, hopefully your night turns out better for you. And as I turn around, that person she's talking about standing right, on the other side. And I'm like, oh no.
Ricky's caught in the middle. I'm caught in the crossfire.
So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I got to load this shit up now and stay away from outside for the next 3 to 4 hours, because this seemed like something that could turn into,
that fight we saw at Blue Ridge.
I was gonna say one of those bum fights, but like, come on, man, here's a beer bottle, hit her with it, and I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. And, everybody, there's a lot of people that we know that were kind of circling around, kind of trying to figure this shit out. And I'm like, oh, I gotta stay on this shit because Lippy Rikki is going to start saying something that somebody's going to get pissed at me about. So I'm like, I load my ship. I'm like, have a great night, guys. And I didn't come back outside for a couple hours. Yeah.
Normally you're like TMZ and the paparazzi. You're going live and shit like, hey, check out what's going on, everybody.
I'm like, yeah, here's a bat right here. Go get her. They're right over there. Go get them.
There's $50 in it for you. I need a headline for this Sunday.
So it was a thing. So it wouldn't be a rock show without the drama. So before we get into we're done with the Adler thing. I don't want to start doxing people. So before we get into the Pump It or Dump Band of the Week, I need to throw out our sponsors, IHatePeople.club, vulgar clothing for the introvert and all of us. Use coupon code ROCKS100 for 20% off your entire order. Also, head on over if you like what you hear here and you want to support what we're doing. We have a Patreon page, patreon.com/ROCKS100. We have exclusive Patreon-only merchandise, stickers, mugs, posters, t-shirts that you can't get anywhere but on Patreon. So head on over, check it out. And I believe one of the things is, if you're at a certain tier, any show that I'm involved in, whether I'm playing a show, hosting it, sponsoring it, you will get into those shows for free if you are a certain tier of Patreon patronage, I guess you could say. So I'm going to throw these up here over Kevin's face real quick. Some upcoming shows. You are gone. Okay, so it's the Nightmare. It's not going to be exactly what on there, but next up, October 22nd, Nightmare Before Halloween Fest 21, featuring appearance by Ari Lehman, the original Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Grave Robbers, Show Me God, Havoc and Harmony, Venom of Virtue, Red Brick Road, Stomp Box, and All Things. Doors at 6:15 in advance, 20 at the door, $30 meet and greet with Ari Lehman. The very next day at Diesel, October 23rd, Wild Street, Native Sons, and Prowess, along with Most Wanted, Saturnine Hello, Forge the Sun, and Accelerate. 15 in advance, 20 at the doors. Then fast forward to October 30th, I would be hosting this one. The New Dodge Lounge Halloween big party. Dead and Five, Fly Parade, Half-Life, and the debut of Dakota Star's new band, Black Swan Dive Bomb. We debuted their new track Back for More last week. And then November 27th at the Crowfoot Ballroom, Kelly Tucker's Celebration of Life with Kissing Candace, Casting Shadows, Influence Wisher, Reject the Silence, Crafted Conviction, and For We Are Many. I gotta change that. Special performances by Shudder and Stone Clover. $25 at the door, 6 p.m. So super cool stuff going on. Head on over to facebook.com/ROCKS100 for more information on all those shows. Next week on the show, there will be not a show to be had next week because Kevin...
Rikki claims I'm not important, yet he's canceling the show because of me.
Well,
let that sink in, listeners.
Well...
let's get a Raz in the chat.
Let's not. So yeah, Kevin has a show.
I'm actually pulling double duty that day.
Are you?
Yeah.
Who are you playing with?
I'm doing that show in Detroit with George in the morning. It's called Harvest Fest. It's like a food truck. What was it called? Give me 2 seconds. It's a food truck rally.
So are they like racing?
Dude, I don't know, but...
Racing food trucks, hot dogs.
I mean, if they're racing the food to my mouth, that's totally cool. So, yeah, we're playing at, I think, 12:45
All right.
And then obviously that night at the Token playing with Harlow. So it's going to be a busy day for Raz.
So if you're in the Detroit area, you can have a whole razzle dazzle day with Kevin Raslaw. Go check him out at Harvest Fest down in, I'm assuming, Detroit.
Yeah, it was the street name always fucks me up. DeQuinder Cut. I don't know where that is.
Okay, so it's probably
down in downtown.
Okay, so it's on DeQuinder. I'm assuming around in that area down in
some sort of cut.
I don't know what a cut is, but downtown Detroit. And then he's going to be over on the west side at the Token Lounge for the Cave Radio.
Hanging out with D-Mac.
Big and bigger
Darren
episode
McCarty.
300 thing, bunch of bands. And then Kevin's going to be playing with Harlow. I did actually get some video of Harlow because I had to go pick up my amp the other day, and I kind of dipped into the Harlow practice, got some video of...
How'd it sound?
It sounded pretty good.
Rikki can't ever give me a compliment.
Sounded pretty good.
Sound okay.
You know, you sound just like you did when you were in the band before.
But even then, Rikki would never give a compliment.
You guys are all right.
Not, oh man, you guys are killing it. He'd be like, I approve of what you guys are doing.
You guys aren't sucking. So yeah, whether or not I'll be there or not, I was just like, for the show next week, I'm like, I don't have a guest for it. I really don't have the ambition to try to hunt somebody down to come in here and co-host it. And I don't want to do it myself. So I don't think it's a matter of that you're not going to be here. I think it's more
Here
a
comes
matter
the excuses, folks.
I think it's more a matter of me just being too lazy to figure something out. So
Rikki has to go out on his own terms. That's basically what you're saying.
Ain't nobody forcing my hand. So next week, October 10th, we're gonna be off, but we'll be back.
Your little one seems to be forcing your hand quite well.
Okay, so after this week, we'll be back October 17th. We're talking to Dakota Star from Black Swan Dive Bomb. So we're getting into our Pump It or Dump It band of the week. What's going on in the chat? Caitlin Mueller, she's going strong in there. Jesus, I can't even keep up. Raslin, I try and work with my kids. Yes, we did. That was a lot of very interesting show at Dropro. It sounds like there's a fighting, silliness, awesome shows. It was like, okay, it's a thing. So we're getting into our Pump It or Dump Band Week. This is a segment where I scour the interwebs and try to find... Well, they pretty much just email me. So pretty much scouring
my inbox. You know how many times I've came in here is like, I was scraping the bottom of the barrel for Band of the Week this week.
Well, this one, it was is actually a band I talked to when the Convalescents came in. They were on a tour run with them. A band called Blood of Angels out of Tampa, Florida. I was talking to their guitar player, a really cool guy. He's like, I'll hit you up, send you some tracks, if you find it within yourself to put metal on there, because I told him, like, I'm not a huge metal guy, so I don't know.
Thankfully, that's why you have me here.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, well, so he hits me up probably about a week or two ago and sends me some MP3s. I'm like, well, I need to find a fucking music video that I can play. So I scoured YouTube, pretty much just looked up the band, and there it was. But I scoured and found this video for Odins Wrath, and so we're going to play that. If you're a fan of death metal, if you're a fan of Opeth, Morbid Angel, Pantera, and Battlecross, you might be into these guys. They put out an album in 2020. It's a full-length album, too, called The Failure of Faith. You can find it on Spotify and all your streaming services, and on Slip Trick Records, Facebook.com/Blood of Angels, and then the number 1. Info on these guys. Inspired by the burgeoning local metal scene of Tampa, Florida, Blood of Angels are making their mark on the genre that has guided them through the darkest of times. Last week we had Kill the Imposter out of Orlando, Florida. Their son, Dongan Hills, 2 votes. So obviously people didn't like them too much. So hopefully Blood of Angels does a little bit better. Great guys. So we're going to play that. And then we're going to come back with Beer of the Week. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking to Andy HAUGHT from the Charleston, West Virginia band Zeroking. We got a couple never before heard songs.
Correct.
Okay. From their
world debuts.
We have 2 of them.
Yeah.
There it is. So here it is.
I come with the fire.
Okay.
See, this is why you need me around, Rikki.
Okay. All right, okay. All right, so here it is, Blood of Angels, Odins Wrath. Check these guys out on Facebook and anywhere you can. If you like them, head on over to Facebook.com/Roxx100. Find the Pump It or Dump It Band of the Week. image and all that. Give it the thumbs up if you dig it, or give it the if you don't like it so much. So here it is, Blood of Angels, Odins Wrath, right here on episode number 118 of the Rikki Rock Show, Roxx100.com. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There it is. Blood of Angels, their sound, Odins Wrath. That was featuring my son, Mason, on lead vocals. So congratulations to him and all of his success. So what'd you think, man?
Pretty good.
You're the metal dude.
Yeah, I'm the metal dude. It's not really up my alley as far as like stuff I would normally listen to, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I dig it.
You did? Is that a band that you'd be like, yo, I need to go. I'm gonna go check these guys out next time they're in town.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see them live just because like their drummer's like crazy technically proficient.
Yeah.
But it's just like a different style of metal than what I typically listen to. I don't even really know how to describe it. Like, I don't know, just like the overall sound, but it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just not particularly my cup of tea when it comes to the metal that I listen to.
Yeah.
But no, the drums were fucking badass. I dug it.
But super cool guys. So definitely check them out. So heading over to the chat, Chris Tucker actually liked that one. She's a fan. She's a fan of Blood of Angels. Wow. Okay, so now we're getting into the segment I needed all day today. Beer of the week. And normally I have a draw.
And I'm the one that has problems.
Let's see if it, I don't know if it's going to play. Fuck it, I'm not going to do it. So beer of the week. This week we have, I don't know where Steve Dave has been. Where the hell's he been?
I actually messaged him.
Yeah.
Motherfucker unfriended me on Facebook. But
he did?
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm going to message him and see, you know, what's up.
Yeah.
So I just typed his name in search, clicked on his profile. I know I should have just opened Messenger, but it was like, I couldn't see anything, and it was like the add friend button was like grayed out or whatever. So I just messaged him like, hey man, like we've missed you on the show. Like, what have you been up to? And he's just like, oh man, fucking football. And he's like, I've also been getting heavy into like bourbon, like not drinking it, but like buying lots and lots of like rare, what I do with sobs essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like collecting like tons of bourbon and shit. So, but he said he's doing pretty good.
Well, I don't care how he's doing if he's not listening to the show.
Well, yeah.
Steve Dave, you are now dead to me. So, beer of the week, Rockford Brewing Company out of Rockford, Michigan. They're Eddie Van Hazy. This is an American IPA. Here is the canware, I guess, for this one. Definitely
the paraphernalia.
Definitely a take on Eddie Van Halen. So that's pretty much the only reason I got it. So I'm like, oh shit. You know, and it came in a black can. So I thought that was pretty cool. This is a 5.9% ABV. It's all head. We're still trying to pour the entire can into a glass. But like I said, 5.9% ABV, 0 IBUs. This is an American IPA. I picked this up for $15.99 for 6 12-ounce cans from B&B Beer and Wine right here in Chesterfield, Michigan. If you're like me who needs to feel fine after a day of screaming toddlers, head on over to B&B Beer and Wine. Have a couple of their beers and wines. You'll be feeling just fine. Just in time for the Rikki Rock Show. Kevin Raslog, what do you think of this one?
It ain't kidding with the hazy. I'm trying to.
This is like a beer float. Every
get
time
around
I pour
all the fucking head, dude.
Every time I pour a little bit in it, it's like half head.
It's weird. Like, I kind of get like that same typical hoppiness, but it like dissipates really quick. It's actually pretty good. I really don't know how to describe it because I'm not the beer connoisseur that you are.
This is great radio. I was expecting you to talk while I tunneled through this head here.
No, I told you I don't really know how to describe it. I think it's pretty good though. It's kind of different from what we've been drinking lately, I guess.
All right,
so at least it's not jalapeno beer.
So, quick description on this one. This is a West Coast hazy IPA brewed with oats and pale malt, Citra, mosaic hops, and dry hopped. So, yeah, like Kevin said, this is your traditional IPA. You know, you're getting all your hop flavors and stuff like this. I really don't like the amount of head you get in this thing. Like it doesn't
substantial.
It doesn't dissipate. You know, like
substantial head.
Yes. Ken Kniff from Connecticut. Yeah, it's like normally when you pour a beer wrong, you know, you'll get all that head and stuff, then it'll kind of dissipate over time. But this is like
sticks around.
It sticks around. It's like a root beer float kind of head.
It's that person that you want to leave your house, but they just won't leave. They just keep talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, it's like this head's not going away at all. So this is going to knock down a lot of points. You should be able to amateur hour pour this thing and get the beer, but it's like I started pouring it.
Maybe you should learn how to pour, Rikki.
Well, you sucked all the head off.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
You had that one queued up. Yeah. You sucked all the head off.
So yeah, I mean, this is going to be your traditional IPA. It doesn't have any bitter IBUs or anything like that, which means that you're not kind of getting that ultra hoppy flavor. With this one, you get more of the oat and the malt taste more than you're getting that potpourri-ish.
This makes me want to like go and smash a bunch of wings.
Bunch of wings?
Yeah, like chicken wings.
Yeah, like this is something you get at like B-dubs or something like that. And be like,
well, I don't go to B-dubs, but any equivalent, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like you're not looking to potpourri dish with this one.
Ooh, Steve brought up a good point. Is it chilled properly? Did you adhere to the chilling instructions that are on the can of that beer?
Is there chilling instructions?
I have no fucking clue.
No, I put it in the fridge about 3 hours ago.
Well, I don't know what to tell
you. Is
you.
it cold?
Yeah, no, it's cold.
Yeah, see, it's fine.
Well,
and I'm chill. I'm a cool dude.
You're like Mr. IPA. Like, who knows? Like, you might have, like when scuba divers, they have to come up to the top of the water at a certain like speed so they don't get like air bubbles in their lungs and die. Who knows? Maybe you gotta chill it fucking a certain way. I don't know. You're Mr. NASA with the beers. I'm just an innocent bystander drinking.
Okay, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But yeah, as far as the taste profile on it, you're getting a lot of the oats and malt on this one, and that's why you're not getting all the IBUs that you normally get out of your traditional like East Coast IPAs or your traditional
West Side.
Yeah, this is West Coast. West Coast, typically don't have a lot of IBUs and all that. Your East Coast, or they call them New England IPAs. That's when you're gonna get like the 110 IBUs, and it's like you're licking a potpourri dish. You taste like flowers.
I'm in agreement with Steve Engel. It's a lack of pouring talent.
Steve, I like
second gear, wise choice.
Steve Engel, I liked you for a little bit there, but now it seems you're on the Raz train of Rikki bashing. So.
Says the guy who calls me fag log at shows.
Yeah, how'd you like that?
I was like, in all my years of having that as my last name, no one's ever really come up with like a creative like insult.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure someone's called me that like years ago.
I was telling Danny, we used to call you that all the time back when you were in Shudder in the early days.
No, but I mean like before then even. Like I don't think anybody ever really came up with that one. So when you brought it up the other night, I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm talking to Danny. Kevin's loading his drums up. And I'm like, Danny, check this out. I'm like, come on, fag log. And you just hear like over all the cars. God damn it, Rikki. And Danny's like, what the fuck is that? He's like, oh yeah, man. Back in the day, we used to call him that all the time because you were like the young one out of everybody that was hanging out.
I mean, maybe not as much anymore.
But it's like when we were all like 26, 27, you were like 24, 25.
23.
23. Okay, there it is. You're like the young buck, and you're 5'8", 100 pounds. So it's like, dude, we can totally razz this guy.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Danny, check this. Come on, fag log. And you just hear across all the cars, God damn it, Rikki. And he's just like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, oh, you used to do this all the time when we were kids.
Yep.
So this beer, scale of 1 to 10, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll do a straight 8.
Straight 8, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not like mind blowing or anything, but it's solid.
I'm gonna give this a 7.5. This is like an average IPA. There's not a really lot that's special about it. You're gonna get this if you're an Eddie Van Halen fan. That's pretty much, I think, the reason why you take this.
Or if it's on special.
And it's for $15.99. I don't think this is going on special, but I mean,
the can artwork's cool. That's like its best redeeming quality.
Yeah, I would have went an 8, but I knocked half off because of all the head and all that shit that was on it, and I'm not a huge fan of having to suck through that.
Rumors say otherwise, Rikki.
Yeah, what kind of rumors? What kind of rumors are you hearing?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm going to 7.5. As for taste, it's your normal West Coast IPA. It's not a lot of alcohol, not a lot of hops. This is pretty much if you're into the oats and malt kind of tasting kind of.
Those are your oats, like Dwight would say.
Kind of like lighter beers, you might be into this. If you're into like the lighter stuff, you like the IPA taste, but you don't like the potpourri dish thing. Yeah, this would be definitely a beer to pick up. $15.99, maybe a little bit on the higher end. I'd say this would be a good $12.99 or $11.99 6-pack, but Not bad. You know, I got nothing really bad to say about it. It's just kind of like right up there up the middle. Nice and easy.
So, Andy's almost home. Why don't we play 2 tracks? We'll do one of whatever and then play one of their new singles. And then he'll call in.
Okay. So what we're going to do, and that's actually kind of perfect because if...
Yeah, I have a tendency of doing that.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. So what we're going to do, since you wanted to play 2, is we are going to play some Crafted Conviction.
There we go.
We're going to play that, One Night Love. We're going to play that, and then we're going to play some Zeroking. Do you want to play Soldier's Song or Vendetta first? World debut.
Let's do Vendetta.
Okay, so we're going to play One Night Love by Crafted Conviction. Did a phenomenal set yesterday or on Friday at the Steven Adler show. Shout out to Caitlin Mueller for popping in. And make sure you spread this all over your social media and all this. We'll be back with Andy Haugh't from Zeroking of Charleston, West Virginia in just a few minutes right here on episode number 118 of the Rikki Rock Show right here on Roxx100.com.
Hey, this is Rikki Roxx, and you are listening to Roxx100.com.
It's such a good point, Anne-Marie. The internet was supposed to be the democratizing force in our dialogue and in our country and around the world. A few powerful, bad actors, and they're creating opportunities to deceive people.
Let's prepare for battle. It's a dance, get your back up off the wall.
Yeah.
And we're back.
We're back. And now that delay is gone. There we go. All right. So that was, we played some Craft Conviction, One Night Love, and Zeroking, world debut of their song Vendetta. Kevin picked this one out. Is there any particular reason you picked this one out? Because we had the whole album. And and I told you, Kev just picked 2 songs. You get to pick.
Yeah, I mean, I listened through the whole album, and I don't know, the 2 songs that I picked just, I don't know, something about them just kind of grabbed me.
And you have a history with these guys, so you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so Andy says he calls and it just hangs up.
All right, I'll work on that. Says it's up. Let me try calling. Did you give him the right number?
The 313-829-050 or 0545.
Yeah.
Okay. We first met them when we played in Charleston, West Virginia at the Blue Parrot, and the guy Tim White that did the show hooked us up with them, and we were just kind of hanging out with them throughout the night. I want to say they either went on. I think they went on after us, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He said he just called again.
Yeah, I'm signing out and signing back in, see if that helps.
So anyways, we were hanging out, partying with those guys. They were all super fucking cool. And then, I don't know if it was the first time we played with them or the second time we played with them, but they do a cover of Beastie Boys, was it Sabotage? And they, invited all of us on stage to play with them. Mm-hmm. So Kelly brought his bass up, Lauren sang, Joe brought his guitar up. I was just basically playing the fucking floor tom. It was super fucking cool. And then we ended up playing with them again in, I want to say Cincinnati, Ohio. But they're just all really, really good dudes. Really, really fun band to watch live. They're just incredibly talented, super, super tight. What you hear on the album is exactly what you're going to hear.
I'm trying to call.
Did you not pay the bill?
No, it's paid. It says I still have credits, so I'm just trying to figure out why it's not going through.
Interesting. So yeah, that was basically the history of how I met those guys. And coincidentally, Andy was at Blue Ridge.
Oh yeah.
And that was he messaged me and was like, man, he's like, I had no idea you were there or you were playing. And then you and I had been talking about trying to line up some more interviews and shit, and he was like, yeah, can we try calling him?
Yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah, try that. And then you had mentioned how we were still trying to interview some more bands, and he's like, hey, I got this new album, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, shit, do you want to fucking have us interview you and, talk about the new album and shit? So it was a perfect storm of events.
Let's try this.
All righty. I think there we are.
Got it?
Hello?
Hello? Hold on. Got that working. So
hello?
Hello?
Hey, there we are.
All right, there we go. We got it. All right, cool. So, Andy, how you doing, brother? You doing all right?
Yeah, I just got in.
All right, cool, man. So, Raz was just telling the listeners and all that how you guys kind of met up down in West Virginia back in the day. From your side, how was it when the infamous Harlow comes into town? What were your thoughts of the band the first time you heard them?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the air. It's good to hang out with you and Kevin and all the listeners. And Zeroking and Harlow always have a great time when we play together. We didn't just play in Charleston together. We also did Columbus, Ohio a couple times too. So there's a couple different cities. They may have even hit Louisville with us too. I can't quite recall everything from many years ago. But yeah, Zeroking and Harlow go way back, and it's good to hear from you, Kevin.
Oh yeah, man! I couldn't believe when you said you were at Blue Ridge, and I was like, "Motherfucker, so were we."
Yeah, there was a lot of people there for sure, and boy, was that an experience.
I mean, to be honest, there was a lot of people that had some not so pleasant experiences at Blue Ridge, but I mean, we all had a fucking blast. No complaints out of this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I had a good time. It was great seeing bands, great seeing big bands, you know. The stages were awesome. The sound was great. You know, all the bands were killer. I think for me, the terrain was probably the one of the roughest parts of it.
True.
Like, you know, I've made the joke that if you're a mountain goat, then you'll love Blue Ridge Rock Festival.
The terrain was kind of rough just because, like, they threw down all that, like, it was like shit you would throw down for a driveway that's not like paved, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like all those people are constantly walking and the dust is just getting kicked up and yeah, like that giant fucking hill in the back. I mean, it could be treacherous depending how many beers you had.
Absolutely. Not to mention the river of sewage that was going through that place after a couple of days too.
Right.
Because you know there was mud, but it never rained the whole time, but yet somehow there was mud. So it got a little worse each day, bigger, you know.
So you know,
apparently traffic lines broke or something crazy. I don't know. Anyway,
so yeah, we just played Vendetta off of the upcoming album that you guys have. If you want to, touch on that song a little bit, the album, what you guys have been up to, because it's been a few years, since you and I have, reconnected on music and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the beginning of, actually at the tail end of 2019, we released an album called Empire of Sin. And we were getting ready to start really pushing that pretty hard. And obviously the pandemic happened. So if you're going to put out an album right before a pandemic is not what I recommend. As far as promoting it and getting it out to people and, people knowing about it. So we couldn't play shows. Things. If I sound like a frog or something, like I said, I just did 2 shows this weekend, so I'm a little scratchy, and I'm not used to that either. Gotta build that endurance back up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is maybe our 4th and 5th shows of the year that we played because West Virginia didn't have any live music till probably May or June.
Oh wow!
It's when it finally came back here. Yeah, and so in any case. So yeah, we put out that Empire of Sin record, didn't get to support it, sat around and was like, well, we're not playing, we got all these other new songs, let's just write another record, well, we had most of it written, let's record another record, and that way when things open up again, we'll have another product that'll be ready to go, and they can kind of sit on the table like, twin albums or something, and kind of promote them both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And so that's what we're going to do with this new record, American Savior. And so some of the songs were written during the pandemic and some were written before, but even the ones that were written before, it was still really touching on the political climate, the polarization of, this side against this side. It was like, sports teams or something. No, I'm red, I'm blue, whatever,
Right.
I'm Trump, I'm Biden, I'm, whatever. And so we were just seeing a lot of this go on. And it was kind of really inspiring. Our drummer, Chris, he writes a lot of the lyrics. And so there's kind of themes on the record. And then, we just, had this batch of songs that we were really proud of and, really want to get out there and want people to hear it. So we're starting to play shows again. The first things we did when we came out of the pandemic, we played a show with Adley's Way. And then we did another show with Don Jameson, did these 2 shows with Gravel Switch over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Next Saturday, we're playing with Saliva at the King Clubs in Columbus, which is an amazing venue. To your listeners, if you're ever in Columbus Clubs and just go there and see a show, you'll love that place. It's amazing. And then 2 weeks later, we're playing with Puddle of Mud at a Halloween hootenanny in South Shore, Kentucky.
Is that what they call them down in Kentucky, hootenannies?
Well, that's what this event's called because they've had it. I think this is the 4th. Don't quote me on that. I think it's the 4th annual, although they didn't have one last year.
We're quoting you on it.
You've been quoted.
You've been quoted.
I've been quoted. Anyway, my fact may not be completely accurate, but they've had a few. And this year they're bringing in Puddle of Mud, and then they're bringing in, on the other night, it's 2 nights, it's outdoor. The other night they're bringing in Scotty Bratcher, I think is his name. No, that's probably not it. He was in Saving Abel.
Scotty Austin.
Scotty Austin. That's what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So that his band's playing Friday, and then Puddle of Mud's playing Saturday, and we're on the Saturday. And then a week later, we're playing with Tora Tora, which is an 80s.
Oh, yeah. I know Tora Tora.
From back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, kind of bluesy Southern style hair metal.
Right.
But still cool. One of those bands that like I used to see on Headbangers Ball when I was a kid. So it's like, yeah, I'll play on that. Why not? And then in November, we're coming to Fort Wayne with Shallow Side. And I'm trying to think of some other, playing with a band called Below 7 that's on Pavement Records in December. That's in Louisville at a place called MG Prime, I believe.
Where? What venue is the one in Fort Wayne?
It's called the Rockstar Lounge. And
it's my spot.
I think they just got going. It's about a 600 capacity venue.
I wonder if that's anyway in the Piers complex, because they have a whole bunch of shit there.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it's in the Piers. I know that Piers has like a couple different bars, and they have different names.
Yeah,
I think one of them might have been the Rockstar.
I almost think when you said, when he said that's my spot, I could have swore when they were taking us through and giving us like the whole walkthrough, you said like the exact same thing. But we could be wrong. We were having a little bit of fun that night.
So you guys are hitting the ground running. I mean, you guys have a metric, fuck ton of shows, going down like everywhere. You guys are traveling and all this. Are you guys, because I'm going to be completely honest, this is the first time I've heard of your band until Kevin was like, hey, we got Andy from Zeroking coming in. I'm like, okay. He's like, oh yeah, we played some shows with them. I'm like, okay, cool. Listen to Vendetta. I'm like, okay, definitely a badass fucking band. Are you guys the kind of band that, you do the touring thing?
No, I wish that were the case, but we've got jobs and families and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and we've been at it for the band has been around for 17 years. We've had pretty much the same lineup, maybe like 13 of those 17 years, with a couple of years in between where our bass player took off to Nashville and we had to get some other guys for a while, but then he came back in 2018, and that was like the classic lineup that Kevin remembers, and so that's the lineup now. It's the same four guys, and then the core of the band, myself, our guitar player Shane, and our drummer Chris, have been the band since we started back in 2004. And we've never really, I think at one point we probably could have tried to tour, but we just never had the support or the connections or, the luck, I guess, to pull it off. And, but we still do what we can, we typically weekends, but if the right opportunity presents itself, we can make other arrangements and make it happen.
So a question I had for you, because Kevin sent me the new album, American Savior. He sent it to me earlier today. It's very rare that, nowadays that I see a band come out with a full, proper, more than 4-song album. Was there any rhyme or reason as to why you put out a bigger collection of songs rather than kind of just, going the singles route, or, putting 4 out there and then waiting a little bit, then putting another 4? What was the rhyme and reason why you guys decided, let's just go old school full-length album?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is our 3rd full-length album. We've released Kings of Self-Destruction in 2012, we released Empire of Sin in 2019, and now American Savior in 2021. And before that, we did have a 6-song EP in 2006 when the band first started. We've always just liked albums. I understand why people do the single thing. You can get a promotional push each time you put something out. And there's some merit to that for sure. And we may actually, now that we've got another record out, we're kind of looking at doing smaller EPs and maybe releasing some covers and, just throwing them out there, and so that there's new product coming constantly on the streamings or whatever streaming services. But we really just wanted to get this out sort of. Not every song is the same piece of the concept, but in a way, there's a little bit of a theme that kind of runs through American Savior.
Okay.
And so a lot of the songs kind of group together well. And I mean, it even if they're not all thematically the same, it has a feel that kind of like from the start to finish, from Time Warp to Back Off Baby. There's a journey. I guess the word I'm looking for. Where it starts, where it ends, and then at the end, after it kind of like goes into that whole like coda with the weird background vocals and all the weird looping of the different vocals none of that's looping. That's all we track that. Like right after that, then we come back and we play Never Tear Us Apart, the NXS cover. Doesn't seem like it really fits the whole rest of it, but we had the song and we were really proud of the way we kind of did the arrangement and thought that'd be kind of cool, And then like on the liner notes for the album, it explains that there was a few people who were really close to the band that we lost during the time of making the album, and so we kind of dedicated that to them, and there will be a little note in the liner notes about that. So we like albums, I guess.
Fair enough. I'm the same exact way. I was just curious.
At this point in our careers, we kind of do this for us, and if people enjoy it, that's awesome. And we want people to enjoy it. We want people to get what we're doing and feel like they're a part of it too. But when it comes down to it, we do it so that we say, oh, well, we've got another album here.
Right.
We've done X number of albums, and you can go to Spotify or you can go to Apple Music or when we do videos, they go to YouTube or whatever. And that kind of gives us some validation, I guess, in our for the time and the effort and the work we put in, and that kind of thing.
I mean, I haven't given the whole album more than I think 2 playthroughs, but just going through it, while I was driving everything, the whole album flows really, really well together. The production quality is really good. And those like themes and the parts of the album, like you were talking about, like the political stuff, it's done in a really good way that it's not like we're trying to be that super controversial band.
It doesn't call anybody out.
Right.
It doesn't alienate anybody. It's basically observations of what we see in the world around us.
Right.
We're not insulting people. We're not putting people down for their beliefs, because everyone has their beliefs, and that's just it's like it's like opinions or whatever. I'm saying.
Right.
And my opinions aren't any better than yours or the next guy's. I'm not right. He's not right. But none of us are wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, like the whole album flows really, really well, though. Like that was one of the things I liked. Like literally, I didn't skip a single song. Like I just let it play through, and I was like, "This is something that you can listen to from start to finish." Like for me, that's always one of the big things. Like if a band comes out with a really good fucking single, and then like you go to the next song, and then like 30 seconds in, you're like, you know what I mean? So
they had that one song that they just hastily wrote a bunch of other shit to fill out an album.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like that actually is like super cool. Not only did you guys put out like a really good album, but it's not just one song with a bunch of filler.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, we have so many songs that don't see the light of day, and we kind of, I guess, know internally kind of have a quality control over, hey, I think this is something, we got something here on this one or whatever. And so rather than, we just pick the best stuff we've got at that moment and what feels like it fits. And even if it doesn't completely fit, we know it adds something to the experience.
Where did you guys record?
We actually recorded with a guy named Jason Baker. He literally just has like a studio in his attic. And the reason we chose him, I really didn't know anything about him other than he had done a record for a friend of ours band called Saprogen. And I liked their recordings, and I was like looking for somebody new to work with. We'd done our last 2 records with Steve Riley, and nothing against Steve. He did great work on those records. But we didn't work at the pace we wanted to because his schedule didn't allow for it. And he could only be available certain times, and like we might track something, and then like 2 months later go back and finish that track, or you know what I'm saying? It was a process that wasn't, just wasn't timely, I guess. So we just wanted to try something that we knew we had access to, but then of course the pandemic happened, and so even him being so close, he lives in Dunbar, I live in North Charleston, which, Kevin may have a perspective on where that is, but they're about 15, 20 minutes apart. So it was nice to be able to just drive down the road and go do vocals after I get off work or something, as opposed to traveling to, before we traveled to a studio in Huntington, which is about an hour away from me, but you kind of had to plan.
Right.
And this was a bit more spontaneous. It was right there. And he was just really easy to work with. And the more we worked with him, the better things sounded, the better things we're getting. So, we're certainly going to do some more work with him. And I recommend him out there to any of the bands who, are in my area. You're going to get a really good product. So,
awesome.
Jason Baker, Metal Dad Audio.
And a question I had, you mentioned this a little bit ago, that your drummer actually writes a lot of the lyrics for you guys, and that kind of spurred the question, how does the songwriting process work with you guys? Because, I would usually never trust a drummer with anything more than handling drumsticks and loading in his massive amounts of gear. I don't trust drummers with a lot of stuff.
The drummer and I have been Chris and I have been friends.
Look, you're rubbing off on him, Rikki.
Yeah, that's what you don't. They don't have names.
Who's that? That's the drummer.
That's just the drummer. Yeah, we know.
He's the drummer.
Yeah.
You're the drummer, dude. No. We've actually had somebody yell that at a show, and that is kind of an inside joke or whatever. there was this guy. Kevin, did you ever play Marley's or Shamrocks in Huntington?
No.
Okay. So there was a club in Huntington called Shamrocks, and this drunk guy came in the back door one night we were playing, and he went up on stage and started pulling Chris's hair. I don't know if he thought Chris was a chick or what. And
get over here.
And Chris turned around. He's like, "You're the drummer, dude."
Oh my god!
And so we say that shit to Chris all the time now. But anyway, I have known Chris since '92. So literally right after I graduated high school, he was graduating high school, and we met that summer. We didn't immediately play music together, but we played in some bands in the '90s off and on, and then we've just remained friends for that long. And because of that, he's really good at writing lyrics, first of all. And then, two, he's known me so long. He knows how I'm going to deliver them. He knows, the character I'll kind of put into the stage performance or whatever. Not that I'm playing characters so much, but, inflections, I guess, is the best. He knows how to write for my persona, my spin on whatever. And he's just really talented, dude. He's a great drummer. He actually writes some of the music. Shane writes a lot of the music. I contribute music and vocals. Not a whole lot of lyrics, really. Sometimes. The chorus, for example, the chorus on Streetcar, I wrote that. But he probably writes, I'd say, 90% of the lyrics. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So how, is there, since you've known each other for so long and all this, I imagine you have that relationship where you'd be like, yo, drummer, stop banging your stick so much and actually start writing some good lyrics, because these are, has he, what are some lyrics that he's come up with where you're like, bro, this isn't, I don't know what the fuck you're thinking with this.
It doesn't happen much. It does not happen much. Every once in a while, I'll be like, I don't like singing this line, dude. And he'd be like, well, write something. And I'll either fix it or just tell him, go back to the drawing board on this, just say this, whatever.
Right.
Second part of the verse or whatever. But it doesn't happen a whole lot. Most of the time I read it and I'm like, wow, yeah, that's cool. Because sometimes we'll have conversations about what the song's going to be about, or in conversation, something will come up and be like, oh, dude, that's a good song idea or whatever. And then he'll come back and it'll be better than what I even thought it was going to be. So
how's the, the other instrumentation work? Okay. So drummer, he doesn't need a name, just the drummer, comes up with these lyrics. He's the drummer, he comes up with these lyrics, and I imagine you come up with like the harmonies and all this and how you're going to sing it, as far as guitars and bass and all that, are they writing?
Well, sometimes it's music first.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, a lot of times it is. Either Chris will have a riff that we all really like a lot, or Shane will just come in, our guitar player. And sometimes he'll come in with basically a whole finished song instrumental. He might be missing like a bridge, and either myself or our bass player Paul or Chris will have an idea or a way to tighten up this or that. So it's really collaborative, and it can come from any of the four of us really. I'll come in with riffs. I'll say, I came up with this cool riff or whatever. What can you guys add to this? Or I've only got these two parts. Let's make this, let's flesh this out and make an arrangement, So, yeah, I mean, there's no one set way that we write or create or whatever. And then sometimes songs will, they'll start one way, and then we'll say, well, this needs to be faster here, or this needs to be slower here, or we need to go more dynamic for this change here, and, So the songs kind of like morph, I guess, for lack of a better term, over time, and then become, and we kind of know, we know when to quit. We know when it feels like, okay, this feels like a Zeroking song now,
Yeah.
Because like I said, we have been around so long that even though we don't necessarily stick to one style, I guess broadly you could say we stick to a style, but we incorporate like pop influences and dance influences and metal breakdowns, and it's a smorgasbord of all these different influences, and we just kind of throw it into a blender, and it comes out sounding like us. Like people ask, what does your band sound like? And I'm like, well, how specific do you want me to get?
Mm-hmm.
Like generally I would just say we're a hard rock, or heavy metal party band, really.
They like to party.
Even though sometimes our lyrics are serious and the themes are serious, it's done in this like really upbeat, anthemic, just fun kind of way, I guess.
And that kind of leads to a question that we did have in the chat from our Canadian friend, Mr. Steve Ingill. He wants to know who your biggest musical influences are, as far as maybe like a singer or how you perform.
Okay. Man, I kind of steal from everybody. All the different singers I grew up, like, worshiping people like Dee Snider, Kevin DeBro from Quiet Riot, Ozzy, certainly Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, all that kind of like classic hard rock stuff. But then I also, I love a lot of pop. I like fucking new wave stuff from the 80s. I like, proggy 70s stuff. I guess like vocally sound-wise, I'm sure I took a lot from James Hetfield. How could you not? We all grew up on Metallica. Rob Zombie sometimes. I'm sure Marilyn Manson was some kind of influence on some of the weirder stuff I do. Mm-hmm. And then I like Queen. I love Elton John. And I guess it depends on the day, because I like so much different music
right.
that I don't remember to even say it. You know what I'm saying? A lot. Prince is a common influence for the three of us, Shane, Chris, and myself.
Mm-hmm.
Duran Duran, obviously, In Excess. So, the popular 80s stuff. And then newer bands. I love Avenged Sevenfold, and I know these aren't newer bands, but Avenged Sevenfold.
Compared to Queen, they're a newer band, yeah. Compared to like Queen and GNR, right. Avenged Sevenfold's a newer band, yeah.
So we'll call them this. It's not a decade anymore. I guess
this century,
20-year cycle or whatever of like your new metal bands, your metalcore bands. There's always something out there that I like, and I kind of grab this, that, and the other from it. Butch Walker is a songwriter and a singer who I really look up to a lot. He's pretty amazing.
So who's the guy in the band who has, I guess the most weird influence where you're like, oh man, I'm really into the new Taylor Swift stuff? Is there a guy that's like, whenever he's like, hey, this artist just came out with something new, where you guys are like, what the hell kind of reefer are you smoking, dude?
Yeah. So Chris is kind of that guy. He likes metal, but honestly, most of the time he listens to like pop. Like he likes what's the One Direction kid that went solo or whatever? The Cake Body? No, that's Jonas Brother guy, and I don't know. See, I have no idea so much, but he likes that kind of like top 40 pop. Sometimes he likes R&B, he likes disco, he likes funk, from like older stuff.
Let me guess, is he the bass player?
But he's also I'm sorry, no, the drummer.
Oh, okay. I was going to say usually it's a bass player.
Like White Zombie and Pantera and bands like that from the 90s, and he doesn't like a whole lot of the newer heavy stuff. Shane, I think, is more into that side of things, but then Shane also comes from he loves Neil Schon from Journey. That's like one of his favorite guitar players.
Mm-hmm.
He was very influenced by Jake E. Lee, who played with Ozzy in Badlands. That's probably like one of his favorite guitar players. So I mean, we're really into all sorts of stuff. We just love playing heavy, crunching, dancey rock and roll, I guess. But like I said, as you've listened to the whole album, so we get kind of like heavier and darker at times, and then other times it's more, kind of light and still rocking, still crunchy, but dancier, I guess.
Right. It's like a good time. Like that's the only way to describe it, because like you guys do your own thing. I don't think you're like sounding like band A or band B or band Z. Like you guys just like to have a fucking good time. What was the Beastie Boys song you guys invited us on stage to play with you?
Oh, Pipe You're Right. We just did that last night, actually, for a club called, we played with the band. Have you ever played with Gravel Switch out of Kentucky?
No, but I might have worked on a tour with them. Like we were in like preliminary talks, and then I don't know if it was COVID or something happened, but yeah, I do know the band's name for sure.
Okay. Yeah, we just did 2 shows with them over the weekend. We played Louisville on Friday, and then we played Owensboro, Kentucky last night. And the show we played last night was just off the chain. It was a girl's birthday, and she's like a regular, so all of the regulars for the bar were out. So we met the regulars who always come to that bar. Mm-hmm. And it was just such a great time. And we ended up playing a little longer than we were like planning on. They were like, "Oh, keep playing because Gravel Switch has still got to do like 2 more hours or whatever after you're done." Yeah. So take up some of the slack, and so we were just kind of pulling songs out of our butts that we hadn't even like rehearsed. Pipe You're Right was one of those. Sweet Leaf from Black Sabbath. Just stuff we knew would like go over, things I could give a pretty good intro and sell and get people into it. We did Ain't Talking About Love, Van Halen. I mean, we like our covers are all over the place too. They're all rock songs. You know what I'm saying? They're all essentially classic rock. I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah.
What venues did you play when you were down there?
A place called Milligan's, and it was pretty crazy because I guess every time Gravel Switch plays there, it's connected to a hotel, and so they don't rent any rooms to anybody outside of the band and like whoever came to the show and is staying or whatever. And then they literally like throw a no vacancy sign on the door of the hotel and just let us party in the main, like there's a like courtyard area with a pool or whatever.
Oh shit.
And of course and they just let us party in the hotel all night long.
So you have the booking connection for this, right?
The bar did not charge the bands $1 for alcohol. So it was a free bar tab all night.
Oh, God.
And then an after party that lasted till like 5 or 6 this morning.
So I think we need to do a Casting Shadows Zeroking show there.
I will do what I can. We've only played there the one time. The owner loved us. He's actually talking about putting us on the radio when we come back in next time to do an interview to promote the show. A rock station called 97X, which I guess is Owensboro's main rock station.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, our first time ever in the market, and we had a great time. People seemed to really dig us. And what we kept hearing was how, like, different we were from other bands. Like, they said that they'll come to see a band and they'll be like, man, they don't talk to the crowd, they don't hang out with people, they don't get people, they don't try to get people into the show. They just kind of play their songs. And it's like, as a result, you'll see a band come in once and you won't see them again. But, Gravel Switch has played there regularly, and they've bonded with the club and the audience and, basically the town, I guess. And I feel like we did that last night too. So
I think that's one of those things that it's an intangible that bands.
I have a little party boner going
and
on,
band members, either they have it or they don't. And I mean, I've worked with bands that have toured and stuff, and some of the venues are like, yeah, they're really good, but they kind of just stay secluded. They're not all about hanging out with people. Whenever
they're not very personal,
right? When Harlow played, I mean, you remember we were pouring out the cold cock whiskey shots for everybody in the fucking club.
Oh, yeah.
We just love to have a good time and engage everybody. So, obviously we know you guys do the same thing. So I'm glad that it went over good for you.
We try to meet as many people as we can at that show and try to leave some kind of hey, I want you to be excited when we come back.
Fuck yeah.
Friends, So, yeah. Oh, man. And plus we've done it along, somebody last night was talking to me, they were like, how did you get so good at talking to the crowd? You're like, they were like, oh, you kind of, it's natural to you or something. And I'm like, well, it is.
And then you do it 11 million times, and it's even more natural.
I've been in bands since I was 18 years old, so, and I'm 47 now.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of years experience of learning how to front a band, and plus, like I said, I steal from everybody. I would watch religiously. I'd watch these, singers, my idols or whatever over the years, and, steal this little bit of that and this little bit of that,
Well, I mean, based off of my personal experience, the first time we played with you guys, it was one of those situations where I think within 5 minutes we were hugging, oh, these are my boys, fucking let's go grab a beer, and that's one of the funnest things about going out on the road, because there had been times where we rolled up to a gig and the bands that were there, the local from the area bands, they're kind of do these guys think they're a big fucking deal? And then we would walk in and we'd be like, okay, what can we do to help? It's just one of those things, some shows, they get off a little bit rocky, but when we met you guys, from fucking the first, I think we were actually, how we actually started the conversation was we were asking you guys, where are the good places to eat? Because every time we would go to a new spot, we'd be like, hey, where are the under the radar, really good spots to eat? And next thing I know, we were fucking doing shots, drinking beers, and having a fucking blast.
Well, I mean, that seems to be the relationship we have with just about every band we play with, as long as they make themselves available.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As long as they're cool and we vibe with them. And I'd say there's probably a good 90% of the bands that we feel like we have a brother-to-brother relationship with, that we play with, over the years. And especially if we've played multiple shows. But sometimes you play with that band and you just click immediately.
Right.
Oh, my God. Dude, if you guys lived in our city, we'd be fucking best friends. Or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And so that makes it cool when you book something with a friend that you're excited about seeing them again. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And so these two bands have a history. Are fuck, dude, it's gonna be epic. We're gonna throw down. It's gonna be nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of how we try to approach anytime we go, because it's all for us, honestly. Our bass player Paul is 35, so he's the youngest guy in the band. So to be a band in a young man's game or whatever, I guess is a good way to put it. That still is going out and getting opportunities to play in front of big bands and play for good crowds and be relevant and not just be, in a cover band playing at the VFW, playing Wagon Wheel or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we love it so much, and I think our enthusiasm catches people. They see us on stage, they see we're having a good time, and they hopefully get swept up in the wave. And I usually at the end of the show, when I give out our Facebook is facebook.com/ZeroKingFans. And I'll say that, and I'll be like, but you guys are Zeroking fans. I usually get a, yeah, all right, cool. And that way, I don't know.
Of course, the most important part of that statement you broke up on.
Are you still there?
What part did you not hear? I'm here.
Literally, the most important part of that statement you were breaking up on, and now I can't even remember what you were talking about.
It was something Zeroking fans. Then after the show,
yeah, your Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll give out the Facebook page, and then I'll say, what's our name, and I'll get the crowd to say Zeroking, and if they don't, it like a happy little bouncing or whatever, be like, and then for emphasis, what's up, and then we'll do like a We Are Zeroking, and we'll kick into the last part of whatever song we're going to close with, which is usually 54 XTC after we covers in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
And that's usually like
got that covered.
Moments. So it's like I try to constantly kind of keep people reminded, hey, this is because I've seen bands for once say their damn name, or they on their stage that has their name. So it's like you'll see a band and be like, oh, those guys are pretty good. What was their name?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we try to sell the name and sell the I guess the vibe of the whole thing constantly.
Hey Andy, you're breaking up a little bit, and we got about 9 minutes left. Before we let you go, Steve had one more question. Ever consider playing any Canadian gigs? And then before we let you go, we're gonna play Soldier's song. Did you want to just touch on that real quick, and then we do a drop for us so we can actually have those?
The theme on Soldier's song is we basically just don't do enough to give everything to keep us safe. You know what I'm saying? They end up either injured or they need help in some way, whether it's mental or whatever, and they don't have those like they should when they come home. And that's kind of the whole trip is like, where's the respect? Where's the love for the people who, because I've never served, but my dad and my grandfather served, and his brother served, and Shane. So it's like we all kind of have those military ties in a family line. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not necessarily the song is necessarily about them, but it's about the experience of, a soldier giving everything, and then either happening to them or take, and they come home, there's nobody to, not enough. It's not that there's nobody, but just not enough support or respect or, so it's a I guess, to anyone who's struggling, active, been in war, whatever.
My thoughts exactly.
And actually our bass player wrote the music. What's different about the music to me is it's kind of a waltz in a weird way, because it's in 6/8, whichever way you want to put it, and which is really kind of different for us. Like, I don't think we've ever done a song in that kind of time. So, how does it feel from record?
It's awesome, bro. Awesome.
Am I still breaking up?
Yeah, you're breaking up bad, dude.
Anyway, sorry. I'll try to shift and see if I can get a little bit more service if I walk maybe.
Well, it's funny, now you're crystal clear, but as soon as you start talking about something, it's
oh God,
it's Comcastic.
As far as the Canada would love to come toward Canada, that would have been amazing. They had a club owner, I think it was in Montreal, I'm not really sure, that was really like about 10 years ago, to figure out a way to get other people, other dates booked or whatever, so it just didn't come together. But yeah, we've had some good support Canada over. The SWAN has actually done a little press for us here and there with Braves records. There was a guy named Metal Mike that had CHOM, I think was the station, and he used to play us up there. So yeah, plus, I mean, I like a lot of Canadian bands. Slim, of course, which is they're not anything like the other two bands I mentioned, but so yeah, we just love to play out of the country. We will play anywhere, honestly. Opportunity to play for some people. We want to go there.
There you go. All right, Andy, we're gonna let you go. Appreciate you calling in, man, and hope we can cross paths again and do a show together.
Yeah, keep in touch. I would love to come to Michigan, honestly. The guy who booked us in Fort Wayne with Shallow Side is talking about maybe trying to get us into the Music Factory.
Yeah, that's out in Battle Creek.
In Jackson.
That's Battle Creek. It's a sweet venue.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should hit you up in a couple days or something, and you can kind of point me in the right direction and talking to some people up there or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know.
For sure.
To help us get up there.
All right, dude. We will talk to you soon, and congrats on the new album and all these awesome shows you're playing. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Cool, man. I really appreciate it. Any of the listeners want Facebook.com/Zeroking fans. We've got a YouTube, Zeroking Official, and I'm Zeroking Andy on Facebook and Twitter if you want to get at me. So,
hell yeah.
All right, dude. We'll talk to you soon, man. Take it easy.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, that was Andy cutting in and out.
Well, the service was great, like literally 90% of the interview.
Yeah.
It's not like the one band in Arkansas that the whole interview was...
Yeah, God. I hate Skype. I hate it. It's fucking horrible.
Yeah, it happens.
That's why we have Zoom. So yeah, it was let's wrap up that interview so you can get you off to work because you have to go into work tomorrow. I don't. We'll see if I have to deal with my asshole son again tomorrow.
Oh my God. You would think he's in high school with how you're talking.
He's 4 months old.
Motherfucker took my car out and didn't put gas in it. You're like, no, he just screams for 8 hours straight.
So what were some takeaways you got from that interview with Andy?
I mean, I really dig the fact that, they're just kind of content rolling at their own pace. Even though there's been times where I've been in bands that were like, yeah, fuck it. Like, we're not trying to be big, but let's like just do it at our own pace. Once the opportunities kind of start coming at you, like that kind of like takes a back seat and you're like, all right, let's fucking, we got to do videos. We got to do merch. We got to do this. But like at the same time, like he plays a different style of music. And like when you see him live, you'll get it. Like they're a really tight, but just fun fucking band.
Yeah.
And dude, they fucking rock.
They had me one over at Hotel Party with no bar tab.
No, they're just all genuinely super fucking cool dudes. Like I said, like when we met them at the Blue Parrot,
talk for a minute.
The original conversation was like, hey man, like I think we might have the day off the next day, or we had a longer or a short drive, so we were gonna spend some more time in town. And we were just like, yeah, where are the cool spots to go get some food around here? And then, next thing, we're having a few drinks, fucking hanging out. And, they had us on stage with them for that Beastie Boys song. We're doing fucking shots together. So they were all super cool dudes. And, every time we played with them, it was basically rekindling that situation all over again each and every time. But yeah, no, the new album that they got, I don't believe he gave a release date, but if you want to hear Vendetta that we played earlier, you can obviously replay this. And then we're going to finish out the show with Soldier's Song, which are 2 world debuts on Roxx 100 right now. The album's not released yet, so you are going to be the only people to hear both of these songs, which is super cool. Steve Engel, thank you so much for tuning in and chatting with us. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, so we're just about at the 9 o'clock hour. Hopefully Ricky's got this song queued up, and there he is. Look at that timing.
Wow.
Well, dude,
so it's like perfect timing.
No, there was one time though at Tap Detroit where like Tiny and Planky dipped out.
Yeah.
And it was like the last 5 minutes of me talking. I was like, I'm just going to talk about nothing because I have nothing to... And I kept going on and on. They were apparently sitting outside, seeing how long I could sit there without squirming.
I was thinking about when I was up there too. I'm like, or I was just going to like stand at the bottom of the steps and see how long he'd go before he'd start just be like, So, I'm playing a show with George.
No, I'm pretty good at being able to embellish and build the time out. So.
Well, I was going to see how long does it take for you to be like, well, I guess the show's just going to be dead air for a little bit. I got to go to work.
No,
so
I wouldn't do that. I'm not an asshole.
9:30, it's just dead silence.
Nah, I'd go over there and start Googling it. How do I put the next song on?
Just like don't even look at the play button.
Exactly.
All right. So, like I said at the top of the show, next week there will not be a show. Kevin has a show. He has 2 shows.
Dos shows.
But the one show that's going to make that the reason the show is going to be canceled next week.
Oh, I'm the reason.
It's like I said earlier, it's because I'm lazy.
He can't afford to not have me here.
I can afford it. I'm just too lazy to find somebody else to come in, unless I find somebody in like the last, because I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go.
You want to get your
show.
boy, Derek?
No. We'll be on until 2 in the morning. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to your show or not because funds are nice and not there because I don't have a job. Thank you, General Motors, for that. And I'm actively looking for. I put in job applications. I didn't talk about this earlier. I put in job applications.
He's going to be a bellboy, a busboy, valet.
Meijer and Walmart. I put in applications at Meijer and Walmart. So, next week, no show because Kevin is going to be doing the big reunion CD release. Is that still happening?
We wanted to.
God damn it, Kevin.
Dude, I had no control over it.
So
my shit's been done for fucking 4 years.
Dude, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be the last Harlow show. I don't have to deal with this band anymore. Now there's going to have to be another one. You guys are getting back together.
We're dangling. No, we're not getting back together.
You're getting back together.
No, we're going to
No, this is how it happens.
No, this is not.
You're going to get back together. Okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. I know we're over, but this is what's going to happen. Okay? Because I was at the Harlow practice. I was there. The vibing was happening. There was vibing. There was reminiscing on old times. And, Joe's gonna be like, yo, dude, if you guys want to do some Weekend Warrior stuff, I'm on board now. My girlfriend's totally cool.
Joe originally hated being in a car, hated hotels, hated the travel. Not happening. Trust me.
Or Kelly would be like, hey, I got a guitar player who's ready to jump in. If you guys want to get this thing going again, let's fucking do this.
It's not happening.
We're putting out the new album. We should at least promote it and try to sell all these CDs. I bought 20,000 of them.
We're not buying that many. We're doing a limited run and that's it.
No, it's gonna be 20,000 CDs, and they're gonna buy 500 of each
Rikki,
size of shirts.
this is your wet dream, but it's not happening. I'm sorry.
And it's going to be like, hey, guys, we got to sell all this stuff. We should probably do some shows. Maybe do a showcase at Simon's.
Let's go on tour
like
and just give them away at every stop.
Yeah, let's go on tour. Let's go down to Texas, over to Florida, kick it back up. Let's go out to Cali. Let's hit the markets we haven't hit yet with Harlow and just see what happens.
So what I'm going to do is
when
Casting Shadows goes out, I'm just going to bring all those CDs with me and pawn them off.
I'm going to bring the rest of the Shudder CDs I have in my garage.
We're going to be triple dipping, baby. Oh, if you haven't checked out this band, this is the other project. Oh, this is the other project.
The Kevin Razlog triple pack.
There we go. The fucking the encyclopedia of Razlog.
It's going to happen. So you guys got at least another show after this.
A CD release, yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever, Rikki.
Mm-mm.
All right, so let's play this fucking world debut because I'm sure the listeners want to fucking hear it.
All right, so we're going to play the Zeroking Soldier song. We heard Andy give a little bit from what came through on the Skype call.
Minus the inaudible parts.
Yeah, so he talked a little bit about it.
It's a great...
Yeah, talked a little bit about it. So we're going to play that. We're going to play some Black Swan Dive Bomb, their song Back for More. The week after next, October 17th, episode number 120 of the show, we're going to be talking to Dakota Starr, my singer in not one, but 2 bands that I've been in.
Possibly 3. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Once Jeff fires me from Casting Shadows, I'm going to be done for about another couple of years. I got to wait till my hell-raising son grows up a little bit. Geez. So we're talking Dakota Starr, Black Swan Dive Bomb on October 17th. So we're going to play their single right after Zeroking and Soldier song. So that's what we got. Kevin, you got anything else?
No, man. I'm good.
Have a great day at work. I will see you next weekend, maybe.
Next weekend, maybe. I'll pay your bar tab, fucker.
No, Jeff's going to be out of town Monday through Friday. I don't know if you want to get together and practice on Saturday and you have a show on Sunday.
Sunday. Our show. You're like, oh, I don't get funds. I'll fucking pay your tab.
It's still a fucking hour drive.
Wah.
Yeah. Okay. Get out of here. Soldier Song, Zeroking, Black Swan, Dakota's new band, and their song Back for More. Talk to you guys in a couple weeks for episode number 119 of the Rikki Rock Show. This is 118, but next one we do will be one. Okay, I'm done. All right, getting out of here. Roxx100.com. Peace.
don't feel a thing. Love our heroes, they said, lip service a formality. Like a funeral for a fate, not a soldier, you don't feel a thing. Love our heroes, they said, lip service a formality. A formality. Hey, love our heroes, they said, lip service a formality. no cure for your disease. Trust me and I can be damaged. Drain my brain and you're smiling. There is no cure for your disease. Your disease. What are you hoping? Hear the sound. Battle drums. What are you hoping? Ring the bell. Another round. Knocked down, left for dead on the side of the road, living with regret. I'm broke, bruised, battered and scarred. Broken, bruised, but I'm back for more. Pretending that you're just like me. Take pleasure in suffering. Look on your face says everything. Knives on the sound of my slavery. Slowly watching people bleed. Look on your face says everything. Everything. What are you hoping? Hear the sound. Battle drums. What are you hoping? Ring the bell. Another round. Knocked down, left for dead on the side of the road, living with regret. I'm broke, bruised, battered and scarred. Broken, bruised, but I'm back for more. Been knocked down, beat down, knocked down, beat, and I'm back for more. Been knocked down, beat down, knocked down, beat, and I'm back for more. Knocked down, left for dead on the side of the road, living with regret. I'm broke, bruised, battered and scarred. Broken, bruised, and I'm back for more. Been knocked down, left for dead on the side of the road, living with regret. I'm broke, bruised, battered and scarred. Broken, bruised, and I'm back for more. Back for more. Back for more. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks. It's Rikki rocks, coming out of the box. Bitches come in frocks, trying to steal his jocks. He needs to be contained with padded rocks. It's the Rikki Rock Show, spreading like the pox. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks, yeah. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks. Rikki rocks, Rikki rocks, yeah.
Rikki rocks up in your grill, motherfucker.
Hey, this is Ricky Roxx, and you are listening to Roxx100.com.